Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Bitcoin news with the fast facts. Bitcoin is absolutely pumped in the last 24 hours. There are a couple of reasons for this. Firstly, Russia has just legalized Bitcoin mining, both at a nation state and individual level. A little bit nuanced there. Morgan Stanley, $3.7 trillion of assets under management. They've just unleashed 15,000 cyber hornets to share the freedom message of Satoshi in the orange coin. Samson Mao's pushing Taiwan to buy 83,000 Bitcoin. The US may get a tax-free Bitcoin zone. That's pretty interesting. Bitcoin options, they may start as soon as Q4 this year. Also, the Fed has ramped up Operation Crush All the Bitcoin Banks, aka Choke Point 2.0. Yet again, rule number one, get your Bitcoin off the exchange today. Really briefly on Russia, Vladimir Putin signs a law legalizing Bitcoin and crypto mining in Russia. Here we go. We'll come back to what's going on with Russia. It's pretty exciting. But first, this is a little bit of a clip in regards to Morgan Stanley and what we could see playing out. Shout out to everyone watching live and watching the replay.
Morgan Stanley is the largest wealth management firm, I guess, in the world at this point, but certainly in the United States. They've got 15,000 registered reps who were just given the green light to buy two different Bitcoin ETFs. One is Fidelity's and the others is the iShares product. And I don't know if they will necessarily adopt it at a high rate or very quickly. But what I do know is this is like the last taboo when large wealth management firms, big investment banks on Wall Street are giving the green light to their wealth management advisors to allocate. It's only going to be a matter of time before it gets more traction. And that would be my bet. So I think Bryn is making a good move here. The price could do anything in the next 24 hours. I have no idea if it's a great price to buy, but just directionally, we know that more adoption, not less, is what's going to be likely in the next 6 months.
It is game time. There's so many things going on at the moment, but let's dive straight into Russia. This is a post by Bitcoin News this morning. Justin, in an effort to seize the moment, Putin signs a law to legalize Bitcoin mining in Russia. Only Russian legal entities and registered individual entrepreneurs can mine. But this is really interesting. Individuals under the government set energy limits can mine without registration. That's pretty cool. So that'd just be the everyday person. Foreign digital assets will be allowed to be traded on Russian blockchain platforms. The Bank of Russia can ban specific cryptocurrencies if they threaten financial stability. Going a little bit more in depth here, we'll race through this article. This is by Cointelegraph. The future of money, the future of money is Bitcoin. Hopefully you've got some, because it is catching on and now is the time to be studying Bitcoin. But Russia, they legalize Bitcoin and cryptocurrency mining. Russia, we're going to dive into what Trump's doing as well, full degen mode at the moment, but we'll get into that. Now, Russia explores other forms of international trade settlements following the US sanctions blocking it from the SWIFT interbank messaging servers. Russian President Mr. Putin has approved legislation to reduce its reliance on the USD in international trade. The law, it takes effect November 2024. Q4 is lining up to be one wild ride and allow approved mining firms to register through a state database to mine crypto. If you're watching on X, they have just released comments. So let us know if you are watching on X, and shout out to everyone watching on YouTube this morning. Now diving in. Small individual miners can also mine digital currency without officially registering if their energy consumption remains below a certain threshold. I'd like to know what that certain threshold is, and maybe that BitX, that perpetual Bitcoin lottery ticket, may start taking off over in Russia with these new laws. Oversight of the newly legalized mining industry will be split between the Bank of Russia, the Ministry of Finance, and a select cabinet of ministers within the Russian government, who will establish more precise regulatory requirements over the coming months. The bill also introduced a ban on mass cryptocurrency advertising inside Russia. Pretty interesting. Last things here. Macroeconomist Lynn Alden, always coming into the forte here, expressed doubts that a unified BRICS currency backed by gold would dethrone the US dollar. In a statement to Cointelegraph, the economist pointed to the age-old problem with gold-backed paper currencies tending to issue far more paper or claims on the underlying gold relative to the actual supply of gold held in reserves. This could lead to monetary debasement, eventually the collapse of the currency. That's in regards to their BRICS currency. You cannot manipulate Bitcoin, at least not long term. We're going to dive into the options, though. That may bring a little bit of manipulation, speculation, liquidity into the market. But Russia, what are your thoughts of them legalizing? They have now passed it into law. Well done to Russia. You cannot change Bitcoin, but Bitcoin changes you. And it's just become, just first before we dive into this video, this move by Russia has made Bitcoin a matter of national security importance. Had a conversation with Tony that last podcast, and he said nation states will defend the Bitcoin network at all costs. That's just now happened. This is absolutely massive. So hopefully you have got your own, because this thing I think is really about to take off, and we'll dive into the price as well. We're just under $60,000. It's pumped in the last 24 hours, but 36 seconds. A little bit of an overview from Bitcoin 24.
Now, I was on the ground in Nashville during the convention and heard the case for why crypto could be a major election issue now.
Between 20 and 50 million Americans own cryptocurrency. People tend to vote their wallets.
People are starting to understand that the money is broken, and that's what Bitcoin represents, to protect yourself from inflation.
Inflation, a top issue for Americans. How Bitcoin is considered a hedge against inflation because unlike printing more dollars, there will be a finite amount. It's simple economics. Fixed supply means Bitcoin's value will continue to rise as long as demand does. Now,
just on that inflation, how Bitcoin fixes this, we have the most absurd speech coming from Australia's Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, in regards to inflation and that they're not recklessly spending. We're going to play that then. So just hold on to that thought in regards to inflation. And it's amazing. Imagine if this actually takes off. What's most interesting, I don't know if this is going to get through. I'd be highly surprised, but that people are actually serious and they're pushing for this, that's absolutely amazing. So a US policy group proposes Bitcoin tax-free zone for digital economy growth. The US BTC policy group proposes a groundbreaking tax-free digital economic zone, which is called DES, which we will use for Bitcoin to boost the US economy while securing the dollar's global dominance. So a new proposal is underway in the US, which aims to establish the country as a global leader in the digital economy through the creation of the DES. The initiative, spearheaded by the newly formed USA BTC, that makes more sense, I was reading it wrong, policy group, advocates for the tax-free DES where Bitcoin can be traded and accumulated without capital gains tax, but with the tax on redemptions. Little bit interesting. It's not as good as what it first sounds, but it's not as bad either. And it's a starting point. Is it going to pass through? I don't know. I highly doubt it. What are your thoughts for everyone watching? The strategic approach to Bitcoin. Bitcoin has already changed policymakers around the world to think TradFi strategies. The initiative says offering tax-free capital gains within this zone, it could attract investors and foster wealth growth within a regulated environment. USA BTC says that the exit tax on Bitcoin conversions back to traditional currency could provide a new revenue stream for the government, which could benefit both the federal and state treasuries. Isn't it sort of like that? Obviously, it's capital gains tax if you sell it, but if you hold it, you're not paying any tax anyway. And that is the point right now. Obviously, at some stage, Bitcoin is superior savings technology. People are going to sell. So if you go there, get a really low tax rate, I'm all for that. But collaboration with regulators, of course, they've got to come into the mix here. It's the way the world works. The proposal also outlines a phased approach and how such a DES would be implemented in the US, starting with the president issuing an executive directive to authorize the use of the Exchange Stabilization Fund, a tool within the US Treasury, originally established by the Gold Reserve Act of 1934. The IRS Of course, they're going to have their hand in your pocket would also play a collaborative role in the establishment of a robust legal framework and approving the proposed tax framework. It also explicitly protects against government overreach. I like that. A continued concern for many in the cryptocurrency community by enshrining the right to self-custody into law. That's rule number one. You have to hold your keys for your coins. Otherwise, it's just an IOU on the world's hardest asset. As currently outlined, the implementation phase of USA's BTC's plans are slated to begin in 2025. If all legislative regulatory approvals are secured, the DES could be fully operational by 2026. Now, James Seifert from Bloomberg says he thinks the Bitcoin options will happen in Q4 this year, 2024. Now, I know very little, to be honest, about options. So I spent the time and I asked Venice.ai what the options are going to do for Bitcoin. And it sounds like they're just a full degen, a mix here. So this is what Venice AI says will happen with the Bitcoin options, how they can benefit. I don't know if any of these are a benefit, maybe the first one. But Bitcoin options provide several benefits that can be beneficial for the Bitcoin price. Here are some ways in which they can positively impact the market. Increased liquidity. Well, that means number go up. Options trading introduced additional liquidity to the Bitcoin market as participants enter the scene. This increased liquidity can help smooth out price fluctuations and reduce volatility. Now, hedging opportunities, leverage and speculation. That's probably the point here. People are always going to be full degen. Hopefully that's not you getting wiped out on a margin. Cool arbitrage and trading strategies, price discovery, derivatives market growth. In summary, Bitcoin options can contribute positively to the cryptocurrency's price by increasing liquidity, providing hedging opportunities, facilitating leverage and speculation, enabling arbitrage and trading strategies, promoting price discovery, and fostering growth in the derivatives market. Lieutenant Dan, when this video has finished, if you can provide a comment why these may be good or bad, I think you've probably got a little bit more insight than me on it. But either way, what I read from that, liquidity will come in and people are going to be degens, and that leads to higher prices, people FOMOing. Good for the price, but we'll see. We shall see. This video is absolutely amazing. Hold up. So this is a video by Tony from the Bitcoin Way. You can't trust the banks. You can't trust Bitcoin exchanges. Enough is enough. Your only option is to full self-custody. More important now than ever before. It's incredible.
Everything seemed normal. Successful businesses were functioning as they usually should. Money was being placed in the bank as savings. Life was good. Nobody notices anything funny. But 2008 hits and all hell breaks loose. Everything we thought about money and the banking was a complete lie, a complete sham, a Ponzi, a scam. The whole world fell apart and a lot of people got hurt financially. And as a result of this, the Bitcoin white paper was born. But yet the same mistakes keep happening over and over again. People are leaving money on their institutions up until the last straw, FTX, when billions of dollars were lost, families were decimated, life savings were completely wiped, and people were wondering what on earth just happened. We have an option to take full custody of our funds, and that's Bitcoin. We just have to learn the process. It's not hard. It's just something we've never had to do before. Otherwise, the same mistakes are going to keep repeating themselves, and people are going to continue to get hurt over and over and over until they learn you need to exit the system in order to protect yourselves and your loved ones.
What an epic video. I've watched it a couple of times this morning, and I have reposted that Sean Clark 911 for everyone. So hopefully you have got your Bitcoin off the exchange. It's not a joke. It's not a drill anymore. the Bitcoin Way, they are the sponsors of the show for bloody good reason. We respect our clients. That's why we don't KYC them. Really quickly, more important than ever, master your Bitcoin self-custody and cybersecurity. 25 years cybersecurity experience. Run a node, air-gapped wallet, protect your devices with Casper, diversify and get a second citizenship if need be. The best thing though, the first 30 minutes is free. You can get on a call, have a talk with Tony or the team, and find out if there are any flaws. Maybe you're doing everything 100% right. You got your Bitcoin seed on steel, not on paper. You're running an air-gap wallet, but even the best of the best, they are going to be able to find flaws and work with you to be able to secure the generational wealth. The first 30 minutes is free, and there's a link at the top of the description. I work with them closely. They help me. They will be helping my mum as well. And in regards to the foundation device, that's what I will begin for my mum. Let us know if you want me to do a review on that. It's an exciting time, but my mum will be going through the Bitcoin way to be able to help her with her self-custody. Just waiting on the super funds to be able to do it. So like why we've got Bitcoin pumping, let's go at $60,741. I'm like, man, this absolutely sucks. 69 in the background. How does it get any better? What else is possible? Like, this absolutely sucks. Our bank's holding up some funds as well. Wanted to smash by yesterday. I think we're up about 8%. We'll dive into the price chart in a second. I'm like, it's good. It's validating. I saw a comment there, and this is absolutely epic. Rexona 72 hours. Man, I bought the dip with a huge smile on my face. Never felt so confident before. Absolute legend. When you're greedy when others are fearful, that's when heroes are made, and that is Rexona this morning. Well done. And for everyone that managed that didn't have their freaking bank accounts slowing down, stopping these transactions, either way, I'm still buying as soon as that money hits the account. I don't care if it's 60,000, 80,000, 50,000. It's all gravy. We're going up and to the right. Anyway, seriously, if you need some help, check out the Bitcoin Way. They're the best in the business. They're the best within Bitcoin. Now, Australia, they're seriously screwed. We are seriously screwed. And this is the reason why you want to have that Bitcoin in self-custody. Look at Plan B citizenship. First, I didn't ask you to dob in your family or friends for any government views or if your views have shifted in nature. Now, this government can, under new surveillance law, modify your social media posts. It's an information war, make no mistake. Sounds like what's happening in the UK as well. Australia's new surveillance laws can now modify social media posts. A new law gives Australian police unprecedented power for online surveillance data and interception and altering data. These powers outline the surveillance legislation amendment. Identity and disrupt bill raised concerns over potential misuse, privacy, and security. The bill updates the Surveillance Device Act 24, Telecommunications Act 1979. In essence, it allows law enforcement agencies or authorities, such as the Australian Federal Police and the Australian Criminal Intelligence Commission, to modify, add, copy, or delete data when investigating serious online crimes. Currently, right now, it's not as bad or as dystopian as what it sounds, but that saying absolute power corrupts absolutely. Make no mistake, if they have the tools to be able to control, of course they're going to use them. If they had no intention to use them, they wouldn't bring it in. But frick, that price, it's good and bad. How are you feeling? I feel wish it was low. I wish we had yesterday's prices, but we'll get into that. But that's why we need to have Bitcoin and be able to opt out. Obviously, that Plan B citizenship is probably a good idea as well. We'll dive into some crazy stuff from the Prime Minister here in Australia right at the end. But our nation, and this is why I hope everyone's paying attention, because it's happening everywhere around the world. Now, our nation can create a strategic Bitcoin reserve that is entirely paid for by revaluing the $11 billion in gold certificates held on the balance sheet of the Federal Reserve. The genius Senator Lumnis, strategic reserve, my apologies, Lumnis. It will come at no additional expense to taxpayers. Letter from Cynthia Lumnis to the Wall Street Journal. America Will America buy the dip and hodl Bitcoin over the long term? A strategic Bitcoin reserve will serve as a store of value. So that's over in the US. Then we have Samson Mao calling out for Taiwan to buy 83,000 Bitcoin. The basis for the 83K Bitcoin figure is Taiwan's gold reserves relative to that of the UK. Taiwan has 422 trillion versus UK with 310 trillion. So Taiwan has 35% more gold. I bet Peter gets excited about that. But I think Bitcoin is going to really start eating more and more into gold's market cap over the next 5-10 years. The UK has 61,245 Bitcoin, so Taiwan should have 35% more too. Also, buying 83,000 Bitcoin close costs less than 1% of GDP for now. That's absolutely insane. Wow, imagine that. If you could use 1% of your balance sheet or your own personal GDP to be able to buy 83,000 Bitcoin, I hope you would. At least I would. Max Kaiser is always having a little bit of fun. The IMF is starting to change their tune. And they've been so against it. While they haven't just outright said, okay, what you did with Bitcoin was the right thing, the wording's getting a little bit softer. And then Max Kaiser, I don't know if the IMF would be that happy if the IMF gifts El Salvador with more fiat money, how much of it should go into Bitcoin immediately. I'd put 100%, obviously, as most people do. We're obviously biased, but the IMF ain't gifting nobody money, Max, in regards to that. Unfortunately, it will be a loan with strings attached. What are those strings? It's nice to see they are becoming a little bit more pleasant in regards to Bitcoin, but it's going to be an ongoing story that happens for a long time. And the world is healing. This number, it's looking pretty healthy. Bitcoin market dominance, 57.14%. Thanks, Carl, for sharing that. Let's dive into the price. Let's hit refresh. It's even lower. This morning is like 58K when I first looked at it. But we're at 60,535. Let's go. 9.8%. It's a bittersweet symphony there. 60,626 was the high in the last 24 hours, a lower 54,543. If only my bank didn't hold, so hopefully everyone out there did manage to BTFD and is sitting pretty up, nearly 10% in the last day. Well done. That's what happens with Bitcoin. Slowly, then suddenly. It moves about 11 days a year. And this move here, that's not one of the moves. This is just getting started. But in the last 7 days, 65,357 was the high, a lower 49,781. I did get some around the $52,000 level as well, so not so bad. Hopefully, you have been stacking and making the most of it, because Bitcoin up and to the right. Let's look over the last 7 days. It's down just a little bit, and race through on the charts. We're just up. That's pretty much sideways action. Yeah, over the last 1 month, 3 months, down the tiniest little bit. 1 year, and it continues to go. I've been thinking, getting into Bitcoin, you're not going to get rich quick, or that should not be the mindset that you have for stacking Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the world's superior savings technology. And what Bitcoin does, as the video said at the start, the recap of Bitcoin 2024, is it's a hedge against inflation. Long term, day to day, Bitcoin fluctuates. We're up 10% on the day. People are going to come back. That's not a store of value. It's too volatile. Yeah, too volatile to the upside, bro. Like that's all good. But they're going to continue to print money forever, and it's eventually going to crash, go into hyperinflation. Mathematically, the value of fiat just goes down. Well, it's lost 90% of its value since inception or more. It's worthless fiat toilet paper. It's just absolute trash. Holding Bitcoin, the world's hardest, scarcest asset, will counteract that. As fiat's going down, Bitcoin's going to keep going up over time. $60,000 is incredibly cheap, in my opinion. I absolutely love it. Anyway, This was looking so much better yesterday. We were at about 1,800 Satoshis per USD. Now we're down to 1,653 sats for every one cuck buck. The market cap, though, has pumped. It was like $1.01 trillion, I think, earlier in the week. Now we're at 1.19. What was the high for the market cap? About 1.32, 1.36 so far. So we're really not that far off. The last blocks, they're still taking quite a while. Hey, yesterday we're at about half an hour, 10 minutes and 33 seconds. 62 blocks slow. Yesterday was about 40, 44 roughly, and the 40s blocks too slow. So the next difficulty adjustment will take it down, make it a little bit easier. And I believe the hash rate is at an all-time high, which is pretty interesting. This is a short excerpt from Michael Saylor on Bitcoin. I can't wait to show you this video, but we're going to come back to that one because it's so absurd. But this video here, there's a longer 4-minute part. We might play that right at the end, but this thing is, he's just epic, eh? What a very smart, intelligent man. Dude's a rocket scientist.
Senator Warren, who I just read, is building an army to take down Bitcoin. If Kamala Harris wins, it looks like this time around D.C. will go to war. Have you had a chance to speak to anyone in her camp?
You know, I've spoken to people on both sides of the aisle, and I think that the more progressive politicians realize that there's a digital transformation in finance. BlackRock, Morgan Stanley, and Fidelity are illustrating it with their actions. Crypto and Bitcoin is going to drive outcomes in November, and you see people on both sides of the aisle that get it. And on Main Street, companies need this kind of digital capital if they're going to compete in a modern digital era.
Well, again, last lap, Saylor, and it's just beginning. I appreciate you spending time with us. Every time you do, it informs the.
All right, so Choke Point 2.0 is ramping back up it again. As I noted, this is Gabor Gerbacks, and this is why you just need to opt out and actually hold your Bitcoin in self-custody outside the system and just be patient. They are getting scared. They don't like individual freedom. As I noted before, US banks are quietly deplatforming businesses that have anything to do with crypto. Operation Choke Point 2.0 is back. It's not something we wanted to come back, but it's here. Bank regulators are quietly threatening bank CEOs and CCOs to shut down crypto companies and activities. Bitcoin news, just in, the Fed issues enforcement action on pro-crypto customers. Banks, as the White House plans a crypto reset meeting for the Harris campaign. Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve issues enforcement action with Customers Bancorp Inc. and Customers Bank. Yeah, well done. Announced execution of the enforcement action listed below. Written agreement, action enforcement details can be found here. I'll check the full thing out from the Federal Reserve after the show. The biggest takeaway is, while you've still got the opportunity, it may make sense to go as hard as you possibly can. It's your money, it's your choice, it's your financial freedom, or your financial slavery, servitude. It's totally up to you what you do. None of this is financial advice, but we can see over and over and over again these banks being shut down. Here in Australia, you get limited with Commonwealth Bank to $10,000 per month. It's not very much in the scheme of things, depending on who you are. As well as that, a bank, for me personally, is holding a transaction back as they do fairly often. And this is through a bank that hasn't before. So it feels like it's heating up here again as well. We have multiple bank accounts and find ways to be able to opt out and secure it more and more. I won't play that. It's copyright. Max Kaiser, Chinaman. If it's not Bitcoin, it's a car coin. Everything goes to zero against Bitcoin. Everyone makes the mistake you're about to make, so don't feel too embarrassed. It's like puberty. We will try to get you through it. Good luck. This is Donald Trump Jr. I love how much the crypto community is embracing Trump. It's absolutely incredible. Beware of fake tokens claiming to be part of the Trump project. The only official project will be announced directly by us, and it will be fair for everyone. Don't be fooled. Stay tuned for the real deal. Just be aware that car coins are coming as well, and it will be there to be able to raise money. Yes, I am biased. I agree with Max. Everything else is rubbish and going to zero against Bitcoin long term. Putin is following El Salvador and MicroStrategic playbook. World War Bitcoin is on. I said back in 2019, the global Bitcoin hash wars were this generation's Sputnik moment. Don't let this S-coiner groomer on left destroy America's chance to win World War Bitcoin. More important on a nation state, an individual state, your company's balance sheet is to be able to have Bitcoin. It's taken over the world. It's happened way quicker than what I thought. I thought this conversation would have started in probably around 2030, 2028, 2030, and we're a couple of years ahead of schedule. Bitcoin just accelerating technology. Real quick favor, if you haven't already, if you can smash the subscribe button, the notification bell. We do go live 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, Australian Eastern Standard Time, 7:30 or 7:35, if I'm running a little bit behind. And we also stream there on X as well, at Sean Clark 911. If you do repost this, I will repost your repost with your comment and follow you over on X. Greatly appreciated. Need to get this Bitcoin signal out. And just in regards to the price, so like it's pumped 10%. It's about to cross $61,000. Probably do that today. Maybe go up to 62,000. Maybe we come back down to 56,000. Bitcoin, short term, it's volatile. You can try time it, you can look on chain, you can follow the stock to flow, the power more, whatever you need to do to get your conviction to be able to get as much Bitcoin as you possibly can. If that works for you, obviously not financial advice, but I think it now becomes irresponsible not to hold Bitcoin. But don't worry about the volatility that we're going to see in the next couple of days. I would have liked this money to have come through yesterday. A little bit disappointed, of course. Glad we bought it at 52,000. But at 60,000, 70,000, for me, it's still a good deal. If it comes in, it goes down to the world's hardest asset. And the same playbook as Michael Saylor, personally, I think. Anyway, let's dive into 4 minutes Michael Saylor. It's well worth listening to the whole video here. I don't watch mainstream news, so I thought this one on the mainstream news would be good for anyone else that is like-minded and keeps the propaganda televisions off.
MicroStrategy's Executive Chairman, Michael Saylor. You know, Michael, I'm going to start calling you Last Laugh Saylor because you always seem to get the last laugh. Even with the pullback, you put out a chart that's really amazing. MicroStrategy is outperforming everything since you adopted it as a strategy. It's crushed everything. Look at the green arrow. It's crushed everything. So I know you feel vindicated, but there's more, right?
Look, Bitcoin is volatile, but volatility is a signal of high energy. You know, rivers, waterfalls, fires, and windstorms are volatile. They just contain energy that we can harness. And so this digital asset is creating tens of billions of dollars of credit and liquidity at all times for everybody everywhere in the world. And it's attracting massive amounts of capital, and that's what's driving that superior performance. MicroStrategy is just levering the most powerful idea in the world right now.
Yeah, but when you decided to go down this route, we've had many conversations. It was really nuts. And even now, critics, I heard folks talking about it just in the last couple, days. Oh, it was supposed to be sort of when the world's going to hell in a handbasket. It was supposed to be a safe haven, and it's not. What do you tell folks who still aren't convinced, in part because it's not a safe haven per se?
What I say is Bitcoin's the solution to everybody's problem. Investors are worried about regulation, taxes, torts, and antitrust. Economists are worried about the deficit and the debt. Individuals want to deal with inflation, and they're worried about opportunity. Companies can't compete with megacorps. Those who understand Bitcoin buy Bitcoin. Those who don't criticize Bitcoin. With Bitcoin, individuals can outrun the inflation, investors can beat the market, corporations can outgrow the competition, and countries can revitalize their economies and boost their currencies by tapping into digital capital.
I want to talk about what's next from Washington, D.C.'s vantage point, because one of the things I've always been afraid of is that a D.C. at some point would push back. just like all these countries that are dependent on fiat currency. And so you've got President Trump, former President Trump, who's obviously a supporter. Also, Senator Lummis, she introduced a proposal for a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Explain to us what it means and why it would be so important for our nation.
All great empires are built on productive property that you can defend. And the Lummis bill is our Louisiana moment. You know, there was a time when everybody moved to the New World, and buying the New World, like Louisiana or Alaska, was a good idea. What we have right now is a race to own cyberspace. The future is digital. Bitcoin is digital. If you're worried about the US dollar as the reserve currency, right, what are people going to buy when they sell the dollar? They're going to buy Bitcoin. And so you should go buy the Bitcoin and wait, because hundreds of trillions of dollars of capital from all around the world are going to flow into cyberspace, to the Bitcoin network.
On the other side, you've got Senator Warren, who I just read is building.
That's that video that we played out earlier, the last part there. But it is a race to own as much property in digital cyberspace, and it's pretty cool to be here with everyone. Now, Stacey Herbert, I thought this was just a feel-good story. This is Max Kaiser's PIC, partner in crime. I really believe that Salvadorians are blessed to live in the new El Salvador that President Bukele has built. So many opportunities now exist that never did before. One of those is to work in Bitcoin, the 9th largest asset in the world, and on its way to number 1. Salvadorians with advanced tech skills now invited to apply for a full scholarship to Cubo Plus, an internationally regarded Bitcoin and Lightning Devs program that begins at the end of August. The course will train you to build on Bitcoin, and you will also make new friends and have a once-in-a-lifetime experience that will include boot camps, hackathons, and in-person lessons from the most famous Bitcoin educators in the world. All costs covered for these Salvadorian students who qualify. Apply now. That's absolutely amazing. What an incredible initiative. They've accepted Bitcoin as legal tender. They've put it on the balance sheet. They're now putting out scholarships to be able to help people learn about Bitcoin. The best and the brightest minds in the world coming. I'd do that in a heartbeat if I was eligible. 60,850. I like that it's going down a little bit. It feels better to me. Now, Zimbabwe, I thought this was a little bit interesting. I think this is another reason to hold Bitcoin in self-custody, because it's pretty dystopian, yeah. The Zimbabwean cabinet has approved a de-dollarization roadmap outlining modalities to operationalize, sorry, I butchered that word, the Zig currency as legal tender for use in the economy. So it's backed by gold. That currency, we've found currencies backed by gold don't last really that long. We obviously have seen that with the US dollar, you know, in recent history. So for them to totally get rid of the US dollar and have their own currency, and then they they spend too much, they print too much money, and people are trapped yet again. It's their playbook. It's just fiat. It's so destructive for the average person, for everyone. Unless you're a quintillionaire, those close to the money printer, it's all good. But for 99.99% of the population, it doesn't work out real well. Anyway, the Zimbabwean officials have set early 2026 as the new deadline for making the Zig the country's sole currency. Central bank is expected to strengthen the mandatory licensing requirements, which compel business operators to have a bank account and point of sales device. Currently, the US dollar accounts for 70% of all economic transactions, clearly because it is a better medium exchange and store of value compared to what they've traditionally had. We'll see how this plays out. Hopefully it's good. Definitely the safer haven is Bitcoin there for everyone. And, you know, we're being gaslit on all fronts. The RBA called out the Australian Prime Minister for crazy spending, and this is what he had to say. So this Sky News, probably a little bit more right-leaning than most people are as a news agency, but I thought the questioning was very, very fair. And the answer was completely absurd. Oz integrity, is this peanut the full quid? Is the federal prime minister even literate? Australia Labor has to go. He's told so many lies, he doesn't even talk straight anymore. What an embarrassment. It's Oz Integrity's comments there. So enjoy. Welcome to Australia.
Okay, on inflation, the RBA has taken a shot at your spending, which is why rates aren't coming down. Are Australians facing higher rates for longer because of big spending federal and state budgets?
Well, that's not what they've said, Peter, with respect. And the truth is,
well, this is the quote here from the RBA. Public demand is forecast to be stronger than previously expected, reflecting recent public spending announcements by federal and state governments. Are you saying they're wrong?
Yeah, that's very different. That's very different from the way that you characterised it, Peter. Inflation has a range of aspects, and that's why we've made sure we agree that inflation needs to be further moderated. It's been cut in half since we came to office. One of the reasons why, two things we've done: we've designed all of our reforms to put that downward pressure on inflation.
Oh my gosh. What do you even comment to the absurdity of all of it? Please just study Bitcoin. Whatever you do, if you live in this country or bloody any country in the world, it's all absurd. It doesn't matter who is in power. They're going to print more money, unless it's someone like Bukele's done pretty well accepting or adopting Bitcoin. But politicians, they're not here to save anyone. The government's not going to look after you. It even feels, I don't know whether it's by design or just negligence, or they're just so wrong with their thinking. It feels like they're doing everything they can to make it harder for everyone out there. And whether it's not by design and it's just happenstance, without Bitcoin, you're subject to that. And that's both sides, really. We've got a two-party system. It's a different head on the same beast here in Australia. Just please take financial responsibility. Read the books. You've got, if I can flick over, B is for Bitcoin, hidden cost of money, parallel, the articles in the Bitcoin Times are epic. The Bitcoin Standard, wherever you need to get the information to get convinced that you need to opt out of servitude, the slavery cuckbucks that we have all around the world. But well done, President, Prime Minister. And you know, another example: fiat currency always eventually returns to intrinsic value zero. Opt out with Bitcoin. If you haven't already, be greatly appreciated if you smash the like button. It helps YouTube just push out Bitcoin content. And is anyone seeing this video on X? They do have those live comments. Now, that's the news with the fast facts. We're going to dive into a little bit of a banter there really, really quickly. A beautiful sunny day today. So hopefully you're stacking sats, some sun, some steak, maybe get some sand, and why not go out and have some exercise as well? All these things are good for a healthy, wealthy lifestyle. Anyway, Simon Picala is in the house. Green Candles. Make sure you are following Green Candles on YouTube and X as well. Great content. Pure signal out there. Cyber Dude in the house. Mr. Android. Jurgen, g'day from Mount Borbor. Yeah, you're lucky man. I wish I was back out on the snow. Marzi in the house. Good to see you this morning. Bitcoin Bull. Well done. What a name. What a name. How bullish is this? $60,831. Putin can play with the best of them. Guys, check out Green Candles podcast, 100% full fill. Game theory is in action. This has been a scarce for people in the market. Get ready for mass pump. This has been a scarce. I'm not as this has been, sorry, Bitcoin Bull, I'm getting caught up on that. I'm not sure what that word was meant to be. I think that's a misspelling. But this has been a blessing for people in the market. Get ready for mass pumpage. G'day from Canada. Habib in the house. Good to see you, brother. Randall, how is everything going with the young bub? Bada bing, bada Bitcoin in the house. 60K. Michael is loving it. I'm late, damn it. Hit the like, people. Do something, do anything. Appreciate you being here. 60K, man. I bought the dip with a huge smile on my face, Rick, saying we read that out before. But well done. You're a freaking legend. The people that are stacking Bitcoin now are the people that I want to be around. These are the people, everyone watching. You're going to change the world. You're going to do great things. When you achieve your goal and your stretch goal, it's great. You accumulate a whole lot of Bitcoin, a whole lot of wealth, but it's the person that you become. Paraphrasing a tweet we read out yesterday, it's more important now than ever before. The people that are crazy enough to believe they can change the world, their own world, because when you change yourself, you allow your light to shine, you allow the light in others to be able to shine through as well. Thank you. The world, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. It feels like a clown show. We're just watching this really bad comedic skit. And you can opt out and you can sit there and you can watch the circus without getting drawn into it and have a smile on your face. Man, bought the dip. Bitcoin pump and salute from Brazil. Brazil is an absolutely beautiful place. Agua de Coco. Aqua de Coco. Man, I haven't been there for 10 years. My apologies. Butchering coconut water is the best. Drunk so much over there. Chilled. What an incredible place. Went Sugarloaf Mountain. That was absolutely amazing. The cable car there. And then off to Machu Picchu. That's why we're in Brazil as a base first. Brought all the way down with extreme confidence. Foundation review, please, Sean. As soon as I get it here, I shall do that. I'm really quite interested in it. I've obviously got a couple of bias in regards to it, having a camera in it and having a battery in it. I don't like either of those two things, but I'll see. I don't know what I don't know, and it's meant to be a really good, easy device. So I look forward to it and passing it off to my mother. After that, G'day, I saw a video suggestion the US made a call to the Japanese banks not to raise interest rates until the election is over. So this bull run could be cut short after the elections are over. Maybe. I guess we don't know what we don't know. And this bull run could literally be over at any time. It's very unlikely. Morgan Stanley, 15,000. Wealth advisors going hard. Probably going to see about 50,000 in total by the end of the year. You know, British Huddle reckons about 350,000 by next year. Just that. Russia legalizing Bitcoin mining. What's China unban and go full send Bitcoin mining? So at any time, anything could happen. When it dropped down, you know, with Japan, nobody was expecting that. We didn't know that Japan was going to almost crash the entire worldwide economy. And then what happens? We went down, we went sideways for a couple of days and we pumped back up. So if the bull runs over and we go down, well, instead of it being a couple of days, maybe it's a couple of months, maybe it's a couple of years. But Bitcoin, the world's hardest, scarcest monetary asset, the best form of private property that humanity has ever known, fiat's literally going down to zero forever. So I don't know, the way that I see it, it'd be a blessing, you know, the lower the prices, the longer, the better. I know it's scary, and the higher the price, the more people that come into it. But having these, like, where it pumps and then it goes sideways, those people that come into it can then study. And then when it draws back down, say from 60 down to 50,000, they're not going to panic sell. And that's what we saw with BlackRock and FBTC. So I think the game's changed, and it really doesn't matter what happens short term. And maybe that's the case. I don't think that's very likely, though, that we see the bull run over Q4 2024. I think it's going to be volatile, but I think more so volatility to the upside. That's my thoughts. Gargoyle, do you know what that video was? Be greatly appreciated. States' provinces should be holding their own Bitcoin, not the federal governments. 100% agree. And, you know, I just think that they're all corrupt. Maybe that's probably like a pessimistic way of seeing it. But for me, that's empowering because I just take responsibility for myself. And so it doesn't really matter. But Retro Beaver, yeah, it's much better that they do. Lightning Goats. So I checked out the Lightning Goats. Super epic. Smash that like. Matthew J is in the house. Howdy, guys. Oh, shoot. We back at 60K. I have to watch shows like this to know fiat price. Yeah, the only time I really check it is when I'm doing the show as well. It doesn't really matter. One Bitcoin is one Bitcoin. Obviously, the lower the fiat price, the better it is for all of us stacking like crazy people. But it doesn't really matter. It'll be what it'll be. Fiat, like my mission is fiat comes in, fiat goes out. That's it. Accumulation mode hardcore. Oh shoot, 1 sat equals 1 sat, 100%. I have a tab on my computer that shows me the live price 24/7. The struggle is real. Phil C, that would drive me crazy. But I did that, for the first 18 months, checking the price 10, 15, 20, 50 times a day. It drove me to insanity. Get them before they shut down the on-ramps, 100% agree. That wasn't a dingo. Then who else stole my baby? Trump family, S-Coin and great. Yeah, that's my feelings as well with it. Bitcoin Buddha in the house. Good to see you. He's a hopeless prime minister. What happened to that other guy, Dan? What's his name? No idea. The context there. We cannot vote our way out of the madness. Actually, holy moly, $61,000 live. Here, ladies and gentlemen, fuck. Bitcoin goes up into the right forever. It's pumped over 10% now in the past 24 hours. Let's bring it up on the chart. It wasn't even that long ago. Look, we're at 60,535 when I showed you this, 10 minutes ago? Bitcoin does what Bitcoin does. So, I like that number better. Hopefully I can get it for 60,732. And it has come down a little bit here, just under 61. We'll see. Whatever the exchange rate is, I really don't care. But 61, 61K, 62K is now in play. The jobs report came out pretty good as well. I think that's probably leading to why the market's pumping a little bit. We will race through. Every government lies about inflation. It's pure BS. They don't want people to start looking for the solution. They lie as Fs. 100% they do. And yesterday, that's why we covered the inflation rate of 3.8%. You lose about 36% purchasing power over 10 years. It's at 3.8%. Inflation's way higher than that. In this country, that's what the RBA, the Reserve Bank of Australia, says, and they're blaming it on the Prime Minister for their reckless spending. It doesn't matter who it is. The fiat economy just leads to reckless sprinting, debasing the money supply. So at least we've got this option now. Thanks, Satoshi. Tyrant, he's a big tool. Serves them right. My pet mouse said, hodl the keys or lose your cheese. You got it, not your keys, not your cheese. Do everything you can. Seriously, if you haven't already, have a conversation with the Bitcoin Way. Obviously, I'm biased. They are the sponsor of the show. The reason they're the sponsor of the show is Tony is one of the greatest people I know. But what they're doing, I think, is more important than ever. I thought I was doing everything right, and Tony is always fine-tuning. And it's an ongoing process. It's just not a set and forget, but it's the price you pay to be able to store generational wealth. Phil Fortner, he's a triple maxi mouse. I like this mouse. G'day. Green Candle posted a great interview with Jack Maulers today. Worth a check for sure. Hell yeah, I will be watching that. I've been stacking since 16K in 2022. This dip was nothing as a dip for AMS. Sean, when if S-Coins hit the fan, will you move to another country and fight or stay and fight? Unfortunately, these politicians don't care about fighting for their countries anymore. Some are, and they're labelled very right-wing, and I don't agree with a lot of their policies, but I think COVID woke a lot of people up to the tyranny that's happening in many countries, especially Western countries around the world. I love Australia. It's absolutely glorious. I've said it over and over again. The Great Barrier Reef is just there. It's beautiful. The rainforest, the snow, the people, it's an amazing place. So for as long as we can, we'll stay here, but we've got that second option as well to be able to get out of Dodge. So we'll see. And that's the joys of being in the space. Nick, good to see you this morning. For some reason, I can't message you on X. Been after some advice on a trip to the reef for a while now. Nick, just tag me on X maybe with this video or something like that and a comment, and then I'll open up the DM. I'm not sure why. But at Sean Clark, SEANCLARK91, or the links in the description. Only ever use that. There can be scammers in the comment section. But comment and we'll start chatting. And I'd happily provide as much information. I worked as a dive instructor, used to run these underwater jet skis and the Whit Sundays and stuff. So it's near and dear to my heart. Morning, mate. Bitcoin, mate. What a name. Good morning, mate. And appreciate your comment yesterday after the show. I was talking about the old Prime Minister of Oz. I first saw him during COVID and thought he was a tyrant. I feel bad with Oz, COVID lockdowns and camps, etc. Yeah, Victoria was pretty dystopian. They are coming out and saying sorry, and it shouldn't have been like that. A little bit too late to opt out. Listen to the Bitcoiners, the noisy ones there on X. They'll probably steer you straight when the next tyrannical experiment comes out. But that's the Bitcoin news with the fast facts. If you can share the video, smash the like button. If you need help, reach out to the Bitcoin Way. Share that video that they played as well. It's more important than ever to take 100% responsibility and just get the Bitcoin message out there. It's a shame it's pumped back up. It's nice when it's cheaper for new people to be able to enter, but whatever the price is, if it dumps back down to $52,000 or up to 65 over the week, in the scheme of things, it's either 0 or 1 million, boom or bust, and we're not going bust. So I'll leave that with you, but we'll see you on Monday, and we have a very special guest there on Monday. Do something nice for yourself, for somebody else. Be blessed. Peace.